Hi guys, sorry I missed you on Friday. My microphone broke. If you can see, I'm wearing a different microphone here today so you can hear me better. You remember the last chapter, Boone was coming back to life. He had gotten taken care of, and Little Bear was really insisting on Omri bringing the plastic Indian woman to life so he could have a wife. So the last chapter, chapter 16, is called Brothers. Omri had fully intended to go to sleep. Patrick did almost immediately, but Omri couldn't, tired though he was. Instead, he lay in the candlelight, his head turned toward the table where Boone lay, and Little Bear sat cross-legged next to him and watchful. Sometimes Omri would close his eyes, but he did no more than doze. Each time he opened them, he would meet Little Bear's unblinking stare. It was partly the rat that kept Omri awake. It pattered around under the floor for hours, making Omri nervous, but it never came anywhere near the men. No, that wasn't the main thing. The main thing was Omri's thoughts. What was he going to do? Would he bring Little Bear's woman to life as he had promised? But then what? It had been hard enough with only one little being to feed, protect, and keep secret. Much harder after Boone came. Now there'd be three, and one a woman. Young as he was, Omri knew that one woman and two men spelled trouble. And what if there should be little children? For all Little Bear's unpredictable moods, his demands, his occasional cruelties, Omri liked him. He wanted to keep him, but he knew now that that was impossible. Whichever way he thought about it, the end was the same. Disaster of some kind. So the end would be the same, some sort of a disaster. Whatever magic had brought his strange adventure about must be put to use again, to send the little people back to their own place and time. Having decided this, however sadly and reluctantly, Omri's stressful thoughts let go their hold on him. He drifted off to sleep. When he opened his eyes again, dawn was breaking. The morning chorus of birds was just beginning. The candle had burned itself out, the rat had gone to sleep, and so had Little Bear, nodding over his bow. Omri peered closely at Boone. The yellow field dressing on his wound moved steadily up and down. His skin had lost that gray look. He was better. Of course, Little Bear shouldn't have gone to sleep, but just the same, he had done his best. Omri slipped out of bed. His blazer was hanging from a hook at the back of the door. He took the paper bag out with the woman in it he took the paper bag with the woman in it out of the pocket. Moving on tiptoe, he went to the cupboard, took out the plastic soldier and put in the plastic Indian girl, and locked the cupboard door again. When he heard little movements, he unlocked the cupboard and opened the door a crack so she wouldn't be frightened in the dark. Then he got back into bed, covered himself up all except his eyes, and stayed perfectly still to watch what would happen. At first, nothing did. Then slowly, stealthily, the door was pushed a little farther open. Out crept a beautiful Indian girl. There was enough light in the room now for Omri to see the black of her hair, the chestnut brown of her skin, and the bright red of her dress. He couldn't see her expression, but he guessed she was bewildered. She glanced all around and at once spotted Boone lying on the ground and Little Bear dozing beside him. She approached them cautiously. For a few moments she lingered behind Little Bear, clearly not sure whether she should touch and wake him or not. She decided against it, and circling Boone's feet, she sat herself cross-legged on the other side facing Little Bear. She sat staring at him. The three of them were so utterly still that they might still have been plastic. Then a blackbird outside gave a particularly loud chirp, and Little Bear sat up sharply. At once he saw her. His whole body gave a jolt. Omri felt a prickling up the back of his neck the way they looked at each other. It went on a long time. Then slowly, and both together, they rose to their feet. Bear spoke to her quietly in a strange language. She answered. He smiled. Standing there on either side of Boone, not touching, they talked for some minutes in low voices. Then he put out his hand, and she put hers into it. They stood silently. Their hands dropped. Little Bear pointed at Boone, and they began talking. The girl crouched down, touched Boone gently and expertly. She looked up at Little Bear and nodded. Then Little Bear looked around the room, and he saw Omri. Omri put his finger to his lips and shook his head as if to say, "Don't tell her about me." Little Bear nodded. He took the girl by the hand and led her to the seed box, up the ramp, and into the longhouse. After a moment or two, he came out again. He ran the length of the table till he stood on the edge as near to Omri as he could. "Do you like her?" Omri asked. Little Bear put his hands to his belt and unfastened it. "I like. Fit wife for cheap. I pay much for her." He handed Omri his belt, made of shiny white beads. "Now Omri hear Little Bear. Woman say Boone good, not die." Little Bear pleased. Omri took Boone, put in longhouse, or Omri take Boone, put in longhouse. Woman take care, give little medicines. He held up the pill boxes. Omri get food, make wedding feast. "How can you have a wedding feast with only 2 Indians?" "Yes, not good. Omri make more Indian. Come to feast?" he asked hopefully. When Omri shook his head, Little Bear's face fell. "Little Bear, wouldn't you rather have your wedding feast at home with your own tribe?" Little Bear was no fool. He understood at once. He stood still, staring at Omri. "Omri put in box. Send back," he said. His voice was very flat. Omri couldn't tell if he liked the idea or not. "What do you think? Wouldn't it be better?" Very slowly the Indian nodded his head. "And Boone?" Let's see. "And Boone?" "Boone too?" Omri asked. "Make him my brother first." "Yes, then I'll send you all back." "When?" "When Boone's well enough." Go ahead and leave off right about there for today. And I'm looking at the number of pages. I think we can probably finish it up tomorrow. Have a great night, you guys. Take it easy.